The cup runneth over. And today we're going to work on part 3. In the previous lessons, we were going through the belief deficit. And what the belief deficit is the difference between the belief level of the apostles and the belief levels of us today. And we're just trying to even it out so that we can do and move in the same manner that they moved in the scriptures. Today we'll start at Acts 2, verse 1. The goal of today is just to identify the disbelievers. And then in the next lesson, we'll talk about the dangers of disbelief. But first, we got to identify who it is. So let's get it. All right. So Acts 2, verse 1. Now it says, "And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all in one accord in one place. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of fire." So if we look at verse 1, right, it says they were all in one accord in one place. So the people that are in one accord in one place, they are talking about the 12 apostles and the others that were with them in the house. So previous chapter is when they added Matthias, the 12th disciple, because they had to replace Judas. So I'm just catching you guys back up so that we all have the same context of what's going on. So they're in the house, and cloven tongues like fire appeared to them. Now we're continuing verse 3. "And it sat upon each of them." Verse 4. "And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak with other tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance." So they're all here and they're speaking to each other in different tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance. Now, this is interesting because all of the 12 really spoke the same language. But let's continue going. So, and let's go to verse 5. It says, "And there dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven." So this is a separate group. Now verse 6. "Now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded." So the noise abroad is the mighty rushing wind that came in. It was a loud noise, right? So now it caused a multitude to gather when they heard the noise, right? Now let's keep going. Now it says the multitude came together and were confounded. They were confused or they were perplexed, right? It says because that every man heard them speaking his own language. Now imagine you pull up and you hear somebody that shouldn't be speaking in your language speaking in your language. Somebody who yesterday didn't speak in your language, but today is fluent in your language. Now watch this. Let's keep going. Verse 7. "And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galileans?" So they said, "Hey, ain't all of these dudes, the 12 apostles, ain't they all from Galilee? They all Galileans." Now, let's keep going. If they all Galileans, they should speak the same language. It says, "And how hear we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born?" So they're saying, hey, why do we hear them speaking the language from where we were born? They're not speaking Hebrew. They're speaking a language from where we were born. All these men. So now imagine you pull up, it's a multitude, and you see a group of men, and they all speaking the language from where you were born. Remember verse 5, it says, devout men out of every nation under heaven. I pull up, and everybody know the language of the Elamites. Everybody know the language from Mesopotamia. This is interesting. So let's keep going. Verse 9. So now they're going to list the languages in verse 9. It says Parthians and Medes and Elamites and the dwellers in Mesopotamia and in Judea and Cappadocia and Pontus and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia and Egypt and in the parts of Libya about Cyrene and the strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes, Cretes and Arabians. We do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of the Most High. So they're saying, dang, they not only are they fluent, I pull up and I'm able to. They yesterday were speaking Hebrew and I understood them, but today they speaking the language from my hometown. This is extremely interesting. Everybody from different nations under heaven is hearing them speaking different languages. This is a wonder. It's a mighty work. Keep in mind, our purpose in reading this is to identify the disbelievers. Let's keep going. Verse 12. And they were all amazed and were in doubt, saying to one another, what meaneth this? Right? So it's one group that were amazed. And they said, hey, what does this mean? Why is this happening? Right? Now, in the other group, let's see what happened in the other group. It says, verse 13, others mocking said, these men are full of new wine. So there was one group saying, hey, this is interesting, but I don't understand why is it happening? Why is this happening? And then there was another group mocking, which means making fun of it, saying, these men are full of new wine. So it's two groups. The ones that are saying they're full of new wine are what? The disbelievers. Right? Now let's see who the disbelievers are identified. Peter is about to identify who the disbelievers are right now. Now watch this. It says, but Peter, verse 14, but Peter, standing up with the 11. So I told you it was 12. Standing up with the 11, lifted up his voice and said unto them, ye men of Judea, and all ye that dwell at Jerusalem. Boom. He just identified who the unbelievers are, who the people he's talking to. So now his own people are the ones that are disbelief. So now when you going about, keep this in mind. The first people to disbelieve, to not be impressed with what you got going on, it's going to be your own people. Let's keep going. Now it says, ye men of Judea, and all ye that dwell at Jerusalem, be this known unto you, and hearken to my words. For these men are not drunken as ye suppose, seeing it is but the third hour of the day. So if the sun came up at 7, it's 10. If the sun came up at 6, it's 9 o'clock. Now, a miracle is happening. And it's people that are confused, but they're amazed at the wonder. And then there's people that are doubting and saying these men must be drunk. Ain't no way they just start speaking in all these different languages and know all this different stuff all of a sudden. But the most important part is a miracle happening right before their eyes. It's a miracle happening right before their eyes. And they're in disbelief. So when you try to do your miracle, when you try to do the impossible, when you try to do the unknown, the first people to disbelieve, right? The first people to disbelieve is going to be your own people. So just be prepared. That's all I'm saying. Be prepared. The Bible isn't just a story, it's a warning. It's giving us the preparation that we need so that when these things happen to us, we're not surprised. It's the example. We need to learn from their examples and know what to expect and then know how to move accordingly. So in this one, we just identified who the disbelievers are, who the disbelievers will be. It's your own people. All right, man. All right.